guys, and welcome back to another episode here. So today is going to be a little bit interesting. We're actually going to be building one of my favorite YouTubers, Cleetus McFarland. You might as well know he makes a couple of really interesting vehicles and takes some drag racing. Well, this one's no exception. Today we're going to be building a C6 Corvette done up as Ruby. This is Revell's 1/25th scale rendering, I believe. So just looking at the instructions really quick. The decals here. Right, it has to start off with the engine. Obviously we're going to be heavily modifying that, but this is a very nice rendition of the LS3 with the torque tube, bell housing, and rear transaxle. Nice suspension on it as well, exhaust, which we're going to be negating, and suspension and brakes as well. Then as you move over to the interior, which will also be heavily modified, placing the seats in the dash in, radiator, wheels. It has a solid rear axle compared to a lot of kits where they're just plugs. So it means that the wheels can kind of turn on their own, but we don't usually roll ours around and play with them. Then it has you installing the windows here, and then the lever for the hood, which we won't be using because it doesn't have one. And then all the ancillaries like the headlights, the lenses, the mirrors, the target top, which because this was, I believe, a Grand Sport version, came with removable target top. We'll be gluing that in place first and making sure that's all sanded down. Tail lights, thick brake light, rear reverse lights, and then putting the body onto the chassis. As you can see here, they have a couple of small decals on the brakes as well as on the wheel centers, and then the emblems front and rear. So those are the instructions. We'll start off with the decals here. These are very well printed and in good register. As you can see, they're not too thick, but they're not Italy or what's that Italian company? Cartograph. So these are not, cartograph quality, but they're not also the old thick Tamiya ones. So very nice. And we'll go ahead and start moving into the first sort of bag. Open this up. First one here, we've got the main body. Now, looking over it, we can see a few mold seam lines running along the tops of the rear quarter panels. Just bring in a little bit. Molded in white plastic. Nice support beam here with the mirrors, or the sun visors. You can see that mold seam running along here. That's not too hard, we can get rid of that quite easily. And then the actual Corvette emblem is molded into the plastic, which has a decal covering it. So try and make sure our paint's a little thin there so that the decal sits a little bit more and conforms to those details. And then the front grille, the front quarter vents are open, which is a nice addition. Now what's really nice here is I can see the panel line, the mold seam line actually runs here, but it runs down the side of the quarter panel. It doesn't run straight down the middle of the rear bumper, which is a bonus. And then of course the Corvette emblem molded into the plastic there, as well as the rear Corvette emblem. So that's the body. Also in the bag, I'm going to say the exterior panels. We've got our mirrors here. Look at our mirrors in there. I can't. There is a little bit of a mold seam line. Kind of running along here. But on the top it's not too bad. Not at all. And then we have the targa roof here. And then the hood as well. And then on the underside is actually where it's more interesting. They've got the body color, but then they've got the insulation. And then they have the Corvette logo embedded in there, as well as some nice light embossing details here for that heat shield, as well as we've got some ejector pin marks on either kind of corner, which we won't worry about. If you're building it, you're going to build it open, you might want to address these, but we're not even going to use the hood, so no problem for us. Of course, we've got our main lights here, our tail lights. As you can maybe pick out, there's a little bit of detail going on, which should show through nicely with a nice reflective surface underneath these. These ejector pin marks, might need to sand those down to fit them to the body, but we'll have a look at that when that happens. So there's everything inside of the exterior bag. Next up, chrome parts. So most of Revell Germany and newer Revell kits, their chrome is quite nice, and they've also gone ahead and placed the tree stubs where you're not actually going to be sanding away any of the chrome. These are the standard Corvette wheels here. It appears to me that they're a little bit, I don't know if you'd say milky, but you can catch it here. There's a little bit of, I don't know if it's underlying surface texture or the chrome failed to stick, but it's not 100% perfect, so you might want to go ahead and strip these and sand them, repaint them in your own color. We've got our exhausts. Actually, these aren't the exhausts. These are the headlights. So those are the lenses, and then we've got the buckets for the. I believe those are the fronts, and then the mirrors and the main compartment mirror as well. So all the well, very nice. But again, we're not going to be using these. We've actually got a set coming from friend Scott over at Futurattractions. We're getting his set of V-Series rims in aluminum. So that should be very, very nice. Once those come in, we'll do a review on their own. Next bag we got here. So we've actually got the dash here molded separately from the rest of the kit. Nice Corvette logo emblazed there. We also got this kind of a carpety, or almost like that plastic that you actually get in real cars, and that's that sort of texture that's going on here with some other places that are smooth plastic. So that's a very good job in replicating that hard plastic sort of interior that most cars have. The next is we have the main tub, the interior plus the upper engine detail. A few nice pipes going on in here, battery, and the reservoir. nice texture going on for the carpets as well, so that's an added bonus, as well as that hard. So there's actually kind of two textures. There's like this carpet texture, and then you've got that hard plastic texture, and then the smooth plastic for all the metal parts, or smooth plastic that's kind of going on in there. So very, very nice. And then the driver's footwell. For the seats, again, we've kind of got this nice kind of pleated leather texture going on in the center of the seats, and then some smooth plastic for the leather. They've got that same sort of carpet texture back here for the rear valance, and again, we've got some mesh pleated leather sort of texture going on for the door panels, and then some hard plastic texture and smooth plastic texture as well. So very nice detailed interior, I will say. So we've got our underside chassis here. It's got some shinier plastic as well as some duller plastic, just to kind of variance the two sort of materials that are going on. And then the rear sort of diffuser piece as well, that's going to sit on the exterior of the car. Very nice. As well as the wheel spindles and arms are molded in place, which is a bonus. I might just have to make those aluminum besides painting the rest of this like a satin black. We do have maker's marks going on this side and this side of the underside of the chassis, so we're going to have to sand those smooth so we don't see any of that. Up here we've got some more suspension pieces, as well as some interior. So we've got the steering column there, and then we've got some hoses, suspension parts, more engine parts, sway bars front and rear, some more engine tubing. I've got the intake actually for the LS that goes up front, and our steering wheel shifter knob. I'm not sure what that is. I think that's a radiator cap, but anyways, that's all on that sprue. And then we've got the front firewall, our hood levers, as well as the base for that. So if you're going to be posing this open, I'd suggest painting these two in this the body color. I've got the air box for the radiator. The two house the radiator fans here. That's very nice and crisp detail. No need to go for photo etch there as well. And then the intake plenum for the LS. We're actually getting some 3D printed parts for this as well for the engine. Then you got the engine covers here as well. And the e-brake and pedals. So good on that. So here we've got some parts for the engine and suspension. So we got the front and rear suspension arm braces. I believe that's the correct term for it. Don't quote me on it. I believe that's either the engine cover or the oil pan. I think that's the engine cover. I've got the tunnel cover and our steering rack, and then the brakes up here, which are vented. There's a mold seam. You can see mold seam running along the actual outside of the brakes. You'll probably want to sand smooth as well. I'd suggest getting like a small drill pin and then just going in with like a Dremel or a hand drill, whatever you prefer, and then drilling those out. That'll add a little extra detail to your model. You won't have to go over this with a panel line accent. just adds that little extra bit of detail. Engine components here, yeah, so I think that was the oil pan, because we got the front of the engine cover here for the LS. Some more engine ancillaries. The head, the block, the header. We've got the heads here and the head covers with the coil packs molded in place. We've got the exhaust manifolds. Very nice. And then the last part in the sprue, we've got our oil pan cover. We've got the exhaust minus the tips. I believe those are in another part. And then we've got transaxle and engine all molded as one piece, so it's easy to paint up. And of course, in our last sprue bag, we've got the clear parts. Actually, two separate bags. So the first one here, we've got the windshield. Some little scuffs, but we'll polish that out, no problem. But very clear underneath, very little distortion going on, except if you move it away a little bit farther. But in relative distance to where the interior is going to be, there's very little distortion going on. Same with the rear cover, and it's also got the frosted edges to make doing the window trim a lot easier and masking it. So that's good. And our final bag, we've got the lens covers. So we've actually got a lens cover here for our dashboard. And then we've got the headlight buckets, tail light, indicator and reverse light covers as well. Because, as you know, our tail light is actually molded in one piece. Very nice. Anyways, so that's going to do it for sort of inbox review, guys. We do have a couple of parts coming, so we've got some parts from 3D Specialties from Shapeways from Ron Olsen. I encourage you to go and check him out. I'll put those links in the description. So we're getting a ram air tunnel for the turbo. We're also getting a turbo kit and the transmission, like the shifter for the transmission. And then we've also got some wheels and tires coming from Scott at Futurattractions, the V-Series wheels. Those are in all aluminum, as well as the tires, the drag tires, so the skinny fronts and the wide rears. We've got tires and rims. They're going to match. The tires, I believe, are molded in resin. And those are coming from him as well. So when those parts come in, we'll do a separate review on those, but those parts are actually going to be part of this. So I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to like and follow and watch this build progress as we build Ruby, the auction Corvette C6. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll move straight into the build.